This is Christine Rashala, and welcome to another episode of Empowering the Educator. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at educational frameworks, what they are, and why every school needs them. To get started, let's take a look at what an educational framework is. If you were to look up the word framework in the dictionary, you'd find something along the lines of an essential supporting structure. For me, an educational framework is that essential supporting structure because when it's designed correctly, it becomes the foundation upon which everything else at the school is built. And for me, visually, I like to imagine the framework as being the frame of a house. If you don't put a frame, or if the frame is incorrectly designed, the walls are not going to stay up. And so if you can picture the educational framework like that, it sort of gives you an idea of what it is that you're going to be building for your school and why that's important. To give you an idea of what an educational framework looks like, I've included a few that I've designed myself. And as you can see, each one has an entirely different look. And this is because when a framework is designed, different factors come into play, such as a school's vision, philosophy, curriculums, values, and student needs. And because every school is different, every school is going to end up with a different education. In looking at the different samples of educational frameworks, you might think that they're just simply organizational charts. However, they differ from an organizational chart because it's not about the hierarchy and who reports to who. It's more about how each subject area and each teacher connects to another at the school. Also, an educational framework isn't simply just a mind map of subject areas randomly thrown about. There's actually an order and a reason in why you arrange the information that you do on an educational framework, because when designed correctly, it will actually turn into your plan of action for achieving your goals. And then lastly, although there may be similarities between educational frameworks between two schools, chances are you're never going to find one that's exactly the same as one from another school because so many factors come into play when designing. Now that we've covered what educational frameworks are, let's take a look at why every school needs. First off, as an administrator or a coordinator, when designing an educational framework, it enables you to see where the connections are going to be made between subject areas and teachers. And although not discussed in this video, educational frameworks also come with sets of planners to back them up for the teachers to use as planning tools. And when you put it all together, it allows for administrators and coordinators to get a bird's eye view of exactly how everything connects to one another and how curriculums will run through the school. Because an educational framework's design takes into account a school's vision, philosophy, teaching methods, curriculums, how subject areas connect, once it's implemented, it will allow for a cohesive teaching and learning culture to develop at your school because it provides a plan of action that's clear for each staff member so that there's no guessing or wondering how things should be taught or how students should be learning, because it will be clearly explained and outlined through the framework and its accompanying plan. In addition to helping a school foster a cohesive teaching and learning environment, educational frameworks also serve to encourage collaboration between different staff members, because anyone looking at its design can clearly see how the different subject areas connect and therefore how the different teachers should connect and who they should be working with and who they should be sharing information with when planning for their class. When staff are united in a vision, and when teachers have the understanding that subject areas do not stand alone, that there are connections between them all, this transfers then down to the students who become aware that the subject areas are connected. And when the students have this understanding, it helps improve their learning because they can see their education as being part of a whole instead of just separate chunks as they move between class to class. Educational frameworks also help to provide consistency at a school, which is especially important at international schools where teacher turnover can sometimes be high. And so as long as the framework stays the same, it really doesn't matter, how many teachers leave and how many new ones come in, because the new ones can immediately look at the diagram of the framework, see how the different subject areas connect, see where they plug into the framework, and understand immediately who they need to be collaborating with. As mentioned, educational frameworks come with accompanying planners. And another benefit to educational frameworks is that they allow for these planning tools to be individualized to meet the needs of different teachers. So instead of planning tools that are the same for everyone, you can design ones that support each individual teacher and their specific needs. So this means each teacher is being looked at a separate entity that is part of a whole team. And finally, another great thing about educational frameworks is that they can easily be shared with the community and parents so that they have an understanding of how your school is run and how teachers connect and how your vision is being implemented. So the purpose of this video was more so to discuss what an educational framework is and why it's such an essential tool for schools to have. And not so much to go into how one would go about designing an educational system. So if you're looking for more information on this, you can visit www.shalabooks.com, where you'll find several articles that I've written outlining the process on the education blog. You'll also find several examples of ones that I've created that you could feel free to use as a starting point. In addition to the education blog, I've also written a book, the Empowering the Educator Within. That's also available for purchase through the website. And the book comes with an accompanying workbook. So as you're making your way through the chapters that explain the design process, you can be brainstorming ideas and creating your designs directly in the workbook. If you feel like you might need some further support with the design process, you can contact me through the website, and always happy to help. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Empowering the Educator. Join us next time to learn what individualized planners are and how they can help support your educational